Thank you so much, Dave. Um, I'm here as editor of The Skeptic. And since 1987, The Skeptic's been publishing expert analysis of pseudoscience, conspiracy theory, and claims of the paranormal. And then in September of this year, I was announced as the editor of the revamped publication. And we've been publishing pieces from all around the skeptical community pretty much daily since the start of September. If you've not seen the work that we've been doing, I invite you to check it out at skeptic.org.uk, and you can see some of the articles that are already there. So in 2012, the then editor of The Skeptic, Deborah Hyde, founded the Ockham Awards for Skeptical Excellence. And it was really, they were designed as a chance for us to recognize the people in our community who are trying to make the world a better place. And some of those people are people who offered support and resources to the skeptical community with things like blogs and podcasts and events that brought skeptics together and helped us remember that we're not alone in caring about the causes that motivate us. But we've also offered, beyond that, recognition to the activists and the campaigns that have sought to step outside of our bubble and try to improve the wider world. Among past winners of the Occams, we've got shining examples of this kind of solid, effective skepticism. We've seen awards for blogging for Professor Edzard Ernst for his tireless efforts to expose the lack of evidence behind all manner of alternative medical practices. We've seen awards for Britt Hermes for her work blowing the whistle on the naturopathic industry, which she used to be part of. And if people have been following the Skeptics in the Pub online series of talks, you'll have seen Britt talking about her whistleblowing work and the extremely dangerous things she saw when she was studying and practicing as a naturopath. There was a blog award for Johnny Scaramanga, who documented his journey out of fundamentalism and demonstrated the pernicious pseudoscience of extremist religious educational programs. But we've also seen Occam Awards for podcasting, going to people like Susie Gage for Say Why to Drugs, to the European Skeptics podcast for documenting skeptical activities all across Europe and showing that skepticism is a pan-European community. And also to the Pod Delusion, who bagged a couple of early Occams for their excellent Skeptical magazine show amongst the first Occam Awards ever handed out. The Podcasting Occam Award also saw what can only be described as a prolific run of near misses for my own podcast, Skeptics with a K, which we actually considered subtitling Always the Bridesmaid, but we didn't go with that in the end. There's been Occam Awards for Activism, which have been things like the award that was given out for stopping the disastrous Saatchi bill being made into law, the award that was given out for standing up to Sally Morgan and her team when they threatened to first beat up and later sue Mark Tilbrook because he was politely protesting her shows, and they tried to intimidate him into silence, and Mark won an award for standing up to that intimidation. There was an Occam Award for good thinking, for the charity that I work for the work that we did successfully challenging and ending NHS homeopathy spending across the country. And as someone who's been on the receiving end of a couple of Occam Awards, I know how much it means to be recognised by our community. Because, of course, these awards are your awards. We asked you to tell us, who do you think deserves to be rewarded, deserves to be recognised, whose work over the last year was particularly impressive or inspirational, for someone who you thought epitomised the very best aspects of skepticism. And that's exactly what you did. And that brings us very, very neatly to our first award of the evening, the Occam Award for Skeptical Activism. And for this award, we were looking for an individual or an organisation who's done outstanding work to promote critical thinking over the last 12 months. We wanted you to think about the impact that they had, the change they've brought about. We wanted you to think about the reach that they had and whether they were growing the skeptical community and reaching people outside of it. And we wanted you to think about what they've achieved in 2020. And we're really pleased to see that we had a lot of nominations for this award and some really, really strong contenders. Honourable mentions go to people like Dr. Emma Bryant for her role in exposing and challenging disinformation and propaganda, which are things that we as skeptics are more than aware of the dangers of those things of disinformation and propaganda. There was a really strong mention for the Cosmic Shambles Network, their superb series of podcasts and live stream broadcasts and in-person events. Like, do you remember in-person events back when those were a real thing? And they certainly did a huge amount to reach people, not just people within the skeptical community, but beyond it into wider society, the people who attended their many, many events. There was nominations for podcasts that tracked and exposed conspiracy theories, including the QAnon Anonymous podcast and the Knowledge Fight podcast, which covers Alex Jones's InfoWars and the various conspiracy theories he's putting out. Both of those are shows that are doing a skeptical service by going deep into the weeds of dangerous conspiracy theories to figure out where are these claims coming from before they ever end up on your uncle's Facebook feed or written on a placard and marched through the streets of an anti-lockdown, anti-mask, anti-vaccine, QAnon, satanic paedophilia march, as we've seen all through cities across the UK lately. And any of those would be worthy winners. But in the end, the choice was clear. As the world has faced this barrage of misinformation surrounding COVID-19, our winner has been a shining light of skepticism, science, and critical thinking. When we talk about reach and impact, our winner is someone who's been a near constant voice in the media in one of the biggest and most populated countries in the world, a country that's among the hardest hit by COVID-19, in which pseudoscience is promoted and prescribed from the very top of the government. And so it's my great pleasure to announce the 2020 Ockham Award for Skeptical Activism goes to Dr. Natalia Pasternak from Brazil's Instituto Questão de Ciência. Please show your appreciation for Dr. Pasternak, who joins us now live from Sao Paulo. Natalia, congratulations for being our 2020 Ockham Award winner.
Thank you so much, Marsh. It's an honor, and you have no idea how much this means to me personally, to my institute, to my team, and to Brazil. Hearing you talk about all the past prizes, all the past awards, makes me wonder if I'm the first non-English speaker, non-native speaker to receive the award. So it's amazing that my work here in Brazil has reached out to the world, and that you find it important enough to give me an international award. So it's an honor to me and to Brazil. And it's really, really important to get recognition, to get this kind of international recognition for my work here in Brazil that's mainly in Portuguese and somehow could reach out to you in England. And of course, it's my pleasure also to write for the Skeptic magazine once a month. So it's really, I think the most important thing about it is to really feel part of an international skeptic community and have the support of everyone in this community throughout the world. It really feels less lonely down here in Brazil. And I think having your help and your support really helps me keep on here, because, it's quite a challenge when pseudoscience is promoted by the federal government itself. It's really hard to fight. And I don't think I could do it without all the international support that I'm getting, especially from you. So thank you very much. And I'm deeply honored by this award.
Well, congratulations again, and we will be sure to send this award to you. It'll be in the post, and it will arrive however long it takes to fly this lovely award to you. But please continue.
It'll probably take longer to reach me once it gets to Brazil, because a Brazilian post is widely known for its incompetence. So.
Well, fingers crossed it makes it. And please, everyone, show your appreciation for Dr. Natalia Pasternak. And if you want to know more about the work that Natalia is doing that we think was so inspirational, if you go to the Skeptics of the Bob Online YouTube channel, you can see the talk that she gave for us a few months ago now, I think it was, talking about all the stuff that was really happening in Brazil. And I'm sure you'll be just as inspired as we were at The Skeptic. So moving on to our next award, from an award for outstanding skepticism, we come to very much the opposite of that. Because while we at The Skeptic recognise the very best in skepticism, our awards are also an opportunity to shine a light on and highlight the danger posed by promoters of pseudoscience with our Rusty Razor Award. The Rusty Razor here is designed to spotlight individuals or organisations who've been particularly prominent promoters of unscientific ideas within the last year. And the inaugural Rusty Razor Award in 2017 went to Gwyneth Paltrow for her pseudoscience peddling wellness empire Goop. And I'm sure you'll agree that was a very worthwhile winner. The following year, in 2018, the award went to the disgraced former Dr. Andrew Wakefield for his ongoing promotion of anti-vaccine misinformation. And that's a topic that sadly has not gone away. And as we were just saying, I think it looks set to be one of the defining issues of skepticism in 2021, as we see not only the COVID crisis, but also the emergences now of a vaccine. And we're already seeing a very well organized and vociferous anti-vaccine movement. So clearly that kind of misinformation does not go away. And while there were lots of strong and pretty varied contenders for the Skeptical Activism Award, the Rusty Razor nominations were almost universally focused on pseudoscientific claims regarding the pandemic. There was an honourable mention, for example, for Ian Brown and Noel Gallagher for discouraging mask wearing and for the spreading of false information about the coronavirus. And unfortunately, for fans of Oasis and the Stone Roses, Ian and Noel have walked the well-trodden path, it turns out now, of 80s and 90s musicians from Manchester going completely off the deep end, which is otherwise known as going the full Morrissey. So we have a triumvirate of Mancunian indie popsters spouting misinformation and fairly dodgy claims at the moment. We had quite a lot of political nominations for the Rusty Razor Award, including a special mention for Dominic Cummings for his COVID-spreading driving tour of the Northeast in late March. And as someone who's actually from the very County Durham villages that Dominic Cummings drove through while apparently unsure of his ability to see, I can promise you there are definitely better ways to check your eyesight than getting in a car and driving past my granddad's house. So he may well have been worthy of a nomination for that alone, if nothing more than that. But there were more nominations than that. And the political nominations and the COVID-19 nominations, they overlapped to form a very clear pattern. You know, we saw a lot of people nominating the soon-to-be former US President Donald Trump, and we saw a lot of people nominating Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, two men who went out of their way to promote one particular alleged miracle cure for COVID-19, hydroxychloroquine. And their promotion of it, along with promotion by Irish conspiracy theorist Dolores Cahill, who also got a Rusty Razor nomination, and by InfoWars' Alex Jones, who also got a Rusty Razor Award nomination, and by countless other quacks who promoted hydroxychloroquine, and conspiracy theorists and pseudoscientists. All of that promotion really was based on studies published by one particular researcher. So the Rusty Razor Award for Worst Pseudoscience of 2020 goes to French microbiologist Dr. Didier Raoult for his hydroxychloroquine research. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Raoult did not get back to us when I invited him to come accept his award tonight. So instead, to accept the award on his behalf and to explain a little bit more about why exactly he won it, please welcome Deputy Editor of The Skeptic and clinical pharmacologist, Dr. Alice Howarth. Alice, would you like to explain to the viewers why we came to, as part of the Skeptics editorial board, we came to the decision that Didier Raoult was our worthy winner of the Rusty Razor for 2020?
So, yes, the particular study that earned Raoult this honour of the Rusty Razor Award was one that was published in March 2020. The study was published on the 20th of March after a peer-reviewed turnaround of 24 hours since submission to the International Journal of Antimicrobial Agents. 3 days before the paper was published, and indeed 2 days before it was submitted, Raoult published a video online claiming that a combination of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin reduced the duration in which a person with COVID-19 was contagious and enhanced their recovery time. The study that was published was poorly controlled, with many control patients treated in entirely different hospital facilities in different towns than the test patients. The claims of the study largely related to a combination of both hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, those same claims which were repeated on social media by Donald Trump. However, only 6 patients were given that combined treatment. Most worryingly, the data of patients who stopped the treatment before the end of the study was excluded, even though 3 of those patients were transferred to intensive care and 1 of those patients died. Since the paper was published, the recovery trial out of Oxford has found that there is no clinical benefit from using hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19. Raoult is one of the most cited microbiologists in the world and was once considered a leader in his field. Yet he used that reputation to publish bad science, which went on to be quoted by world leaders, The consequences of this include reducing availability of these drugs for people who need them for other conditions and an erosion in public trust in science as these claims went on to be disproven, as well as wasted time and resources as researchers rushed to corroborate or disprove the claims. For me, Rout stands as someone who exemplifies how science is not infallible. Science is conducted by humans, and humans are biased and make mistakes. But good science accounts for those biases using reasonable controls and by providing data for scrutiny to the wider scientific community. In this case, that scrutiny highlighted the major flaws with Rout's study, but not before the flawed findings reached a wider audience amplified through social media by world leaders. This award is given to Rout, but it highlights the consequences of combining bad science with good public outreach and how dangerous ideas can proliferate through social media.
Thank you so much, Alice. I'm sure all of our viewers and all of the readers of The Skeptic and the Skeptic community will stand behind Didier Rout as a very worthy winner of this Rusty Razor Award, the redesigned Rusty Razor Award. Unfortunately, he hasn't accepted the award, but we will continue to try to get it to him. And finally, tonight, we've got one last award to hand out. And this isn't one that we asked you to give us nominations for. This is the Editor's Choice Award. And this is an award that The Skeptic gives out when a person or an organisation has done some outstanding work within the skeptical community, and we want to give them that extra bit of recognition. In 2012, the first ever Editor's Choice Award went to Mike Hutchinson, a stalwart of the UK skeptical movement since the mid-70s, who'd been involved in managing subscriptions to The Skeptic magazine for decades and involved in many other things amongst that time. In 2014, Deborah Hyde and Chris French gave the Editor's Choice Award to the QED conference, which was somewhat mischievous, given that we'd agreed QED wasn't eligible for public nominations because the awards ceremony usually takes place at QED, and we didn't want things to be awkward. It would have been taken place at QED. This very award ceremony would have been taking place at QED had there not been a pandemic, in fact. But that brings us to our decision to give out an Editor's Choice Award as part of the 2020 Occam, because, and I think you'll all agree, it's been a pretty weird year. And normality and regularity have been in very short supply. The events that we've come to rely on to remind ourselves that we're part of a community that's supportive and kind and compassionate and inclusive, those events simply haven't been able to happen. And it would have been very easy for us to all feel disconnected and adrift. But what we've seen instead is a remarkable effort to bring people together, to show unity in the face of this crisis, and to give the skeptical community something to gather around. And so the 2020 Editor's Choice Occam Award goes to Skeptics in the Pub Online. Now, Skeptics in the Pub Online, as we all know, is a coalition of lots and lots of skeptical groups from all around the country working together to put on high-quality events every single week, stretching all the way back to the start of the first lockdown at the end of March. And in that time, we've held 33 events, plus a Halloween special and a ludicrous rebroadcast of the 2018 QED conference. And all of those events have been free to attend for anyone to come along to. And yet they've been produced to a technical quality that many paid events could only dream of managing. And that's only happened because so many people have been so willing to collaborate, to compromise, and to work together under a banner that represents all of us. And it's felt genuinely exciting and special to be part of it. And because there's so many people involved in running Skeptics in the Pub Online, all of whom you'll see on the credit screen that rolls around during the breaks, I can't get all of them on screen to accept this. But I'm sure everybody who's involved would agree that of everybody who's involved, few have been more active and more supportive and more unflappable under pressure as one particular guy who doesn't normally appear on camera, except to be the landlord of the Zoom pub, the Lock-In's Razor. So who better to bring on screen right now to accept the award on behalf of everybody involved in Skeptics in the Pub Online than David Glass. David, please join us online to accept the Occam's Award, Editor's Choice Award.
Hi, everyone. I feel like I've been a little bit stitched up here because this is a huge surprise, but wow, I'm genuinely speechless. We kind of volunteered to do this months and months and months ago, but it's been something that has been massively rewarding for me and everyone else who's taking part. I'm so happy and so proud to accept this on behalf of everyone who's put so much effort in. This is how good I am at being on camera, so this is why you will never catch me hosting one of these events, but I don't know what else to say. Thank you very much, everybody. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's been a wonderful time.
Everybody, please fill the chat there with appreciation, not just for David, but for everybody in Skeptics Pub Online. If this is your first time, you're in for a treat throughout the rest of the evening, and for everything that's on YouTube as well. You'll see the names of everybody involved in that credit slide as it rolls around, and everybody involved has really contributed to make this something that's really kept a lot of people going in terms of skeptical connection throughout the lockdown. So that brings us to the end of the Ockham Awards for this year, and I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who submitted nominations, and a massive congratulations to all of the winners. I'd invite everybody to check out the work we've been doing at The Skeptic for compassionate skepticism that I'm really proud to be able to publish. And you can see that at skeptic.org.uk. I'm proud of all the writers that we're publishing there and the work that we're doing. And I sincerely hope everybody enjoys the rest of the evening. I know Pixie's talk is going to be fantastic. Stick around, make sure you enjoy that. And thank you so much for being part of the Occam Awards nominations and announcements tonight. Thank you.